Welcome to This Explainer. Okay, today we're taking a seriously fascinating journey into the ancient past to uncover something that is incredibly relevant to our modern lives. We're looking at the myths of Goddess Baglamukhi. She's this highly revered figure from the Hindu Dasha Mahavidya. But listen, we aren't just going to look at these stories as ancient folklore. As you'll see today, these myths actually hold profound, hidden psychological truths about exactly how we deal with modern anxiety, panic, and just the sheer chaos of our daily lives. So let's dive in with a pretty bold question. Can ancient mythology actually hold the cure for modern mental health? It sounds kind of crazy, right? But the source material we're exploring today suggests exactly that. It explains that these Hindu deities and their specific forms weren't just random artistic choices. They were intentionally conceptualized by ancient thinkers to give us direct, highly practical guidance for navigating the unpredictable roller coaster of life. Let's see exactly how this works in practice. Let's kick things off with our first story, calming the cosmic chaos. So picture this. According to the myth, a totally terrifying event happens. Absolute universal destruction begins. It is literally threatening to wipe out everything in existence. In response to this cosmic panic, Lord Vishnu journeys down to the region of Saurashtra, to this yellow lake known as Haridra Sarovar. And there, he begins a deep, intense meditation. Suddenly, out of this meditation, a stunning figure emerges right from the waters, Goddess Baglamukhi, dressed entirely in yellow. And with her immense, paralyzing power, she just halts the destruction in its tracks. She completely freezes the apocalypse instantly. Now, hold on a second. This raises a massive core question. If Lord Vishnu is the almighty preserver of the universe, why didn't he just snap his fingers and stop the destruction himself? Why did he have to sit down, meditate, and summon the goddess to do it for him? Well, the answer to this question is exactly where the literal myth transforms into a brilliant psychological blueprint for all of us today. And this brilliantly illustrates our hidden metaphor. That cosmic destruction, it's not a literal doomsday. It represents those moments of sudden, totally unexpected life trauma. You know, a family crisis, a sudden job loss, a tragedy you just weren't prepared for. When those things happen, our natural instinct is to panic, right? We start spiraling into negative overthinking, which honestly just amplifies the problem. But Vishnu's response, his meditation, that represents the vital, immediate need to calm the mind. You absolutely cannot fight chaos with more chaos. You have to step back, stop the spiraling, and find stillness. So who exactly is the goddess in this whole psychological setup? She's basically that one solid, anchoring, good thought. She is the clear, positive solution that emerges spontaneously right from within you. But here's the catch. She only appears when your chaotic mind is finally silenced. When you stop the negative spiral and truly just observe your inner self, that clarity arises. It's exactly like Baglamukhi rising from the still waters of that lake, freezing your panic and giving you a clear way forward. Moving right along to our second story, silencing the demon of gossip. All right, so our source introduces us to this character, Madanasura. This demon goes through intense penance just to get a ridiculously dangerous superpower. Literally whatever he spoke instantly became reality. And naturally, he used this insane power to completely torment the gods and sages, causing absolute chaos purely with his words. The situation got so out of hand that the gods realized standard weapons just weren't going to cut it. Once again, they had to calm their minds and collectively summon Bhagavati, the goddess, for an intervention. And this leads up to one of the absolute most iconic moments in Hindu iconography. The goddess shows up, and before this demon can get a single destructive word out, she reaches out, grabs his tongue with one hand, and just strikes it forcefully with a mace. She completely paralyzes his ability to speak. Stripped of his ultimate weapon, the demon instantly realizes he messed up, apologizes, and is actually forgiven by the goddess. Okay, let's unpack this one, because it hits super close to home. Striking the demon's tongue isn't just an ancient battle tactic. It's a direct metaphor for stopping the toxic cycle of gossip and negative talk. In our modern lives, Madanasura is that dark, destructive urge we all kind of feel sometimes to gossip, to trash talk others, or just complain relentlessly. It feels powerful in the moment, just like the demon's boon, but it is incredibly damaging. Let's actually break this down step by step to see why gossip is basically self-sabotage. Step 1, your ear catches the gossip. Step 2, your brain, which is always hungry for drama, finds it highly entertaining. Step 3, your mind starts to overanalyze and feed on this negativity. And finally, step 4, negative imprints form deep within your own subconscious. By indulging in toxic talk, you are literally secretly poisoning your own mind. The source text makes a fascinating point here. These very imprints are what breed fear and despair within you when you inevitably face your own hard times. The goddess striking the tongue is the ultimate wake-up call to stop feeding your brain this poison. Which brings us to our third section, the power of observation, or how to finally master that internal monologue. So, how do we actually pull this off? How do we gain this level of mental control? The core advice here is summed up beautifully in this quote. Observe your thoughts like watching clouds pass in the sky. Look, when you try to forcefully stop a bad thought, you usually just end up giving it more energy. Our source compares this to the myth of Raktabija, where every drop of spilled blood just creates a brand new demon. One thought ends, and boom, another instantly pops up. Instead, you've got to observe them neutrally. Don't fight them. Just watch them float by, and those unnecessary negative thoughts will naturally just fade away on their own. Now, building this habit definitely takes some practice. First up, like we just said, don't fight or force away the bad thoughts. Second, let those negative thoughts neutralize over time through passive observation. Third, when a good thought, your inner goddess, pops up, actively hold on to it. And fourth, you have to protect your environment. The source gives this amazing analogy. If you put a struggling student in a room with 20 top-tier government officials for a few months, they're going to naturally improve. But take a brilliant student and surround them with 20 troublemakers, their mindset is gonna tank. Your environment heavily dictates the quality of the thoughts you have to manage. Let's put this into a real-world context from the source text. Think about the absolute grind of a job hunt. You're facing rejection, you aren't landing the role, and your internal monologue just splits in two. The negative voice starts screaming, "You're dumb, everyone else is better than you." That is the inner chaos talking. But the positive voice says, "Hey, study harder, find the gaps in your knowledge, and try again." This perfectly illustrates why calming the mind is so critical. Only a quiet mind allows you to spot that destructive imposter syndrome for what it is, let it pass like a cloud, and actively choose to listen to that constructive, positive voice. All right, last section here, finding your inner confidence, from theory to reality. So, how do we take all this great theory and actually live it? Well, the text points to two main paths to achieve this state of profound clarity. Puja, which means ritual, and dhyana, which is meditation. Now, it's super important to realize these aren't just empty traditions. Using physical tools like sandalwood and incense during rituals, or committing to the silent practice of meditation, these are highly practical, time-tested methods designed specifically to force a chaotic mind into focus. They are the physical actions that lead directly to the psychological result of finding that divine clarity within yourself. But here is the absolute kicker regarding these practices: the massive, irreplaceable value of lived experience. Abstract theory is pretty much useless on its own. Pure intelligence exists inside absolutely everyone, whether you're a saint or a total troublemaker. But you actually have to do the work to access it. Getting theoretical advice on mindfulness from someone who hasn't actually practiced it is literally like getting business advice from someone who's never run a business. It's empty. It's the messy, actual process of overcoming struggles and applying these mental tools in real life that grants you truly clear vision. To really hammer this home, the author of our source material actually shares a super personal testimony. They literally say, "Because my mind became calm, I can see things clearly and speak with confidence." They explain that just 2 years ago, they completely lacked the confidence or ability to clearly articulate their thoughts to anyone. It was the dedicated, daily practice of these exact rituals and mindfulness techniques that calmed their internal chaos, directly yielding the real-world confidence they use to communicate today. The proof is entirely in the practice. So you see, these ancient stories of Goddess Baglamukhi, they are way more than just old myths. They are a brilliantly designed psychological roadmap for right now, today. Your pure intelligence, your inner clarity is sitting right there waiting for you. So the real question is, will you quiet the chaos long enough to actually hear it? Thank you so much for joining me on this explainer, and hey, I highly encourage you to start observing those